Hi everyone, welcome to a wrap-up of week 1 for Teaching Online Reflections on Practice. I apologize, this is a little bit slightly delayed. Alan was actually on vacation last week and I'm in the process of moving. So it's been a little bit chaotic around here. You actually probably won't see me too much in the discussions and in the video for next week. You get to see Alan, who you didn't see much of this past week because he was on vacation. It's just summertime and we're all just a little bit busy during summertime, as I'm sure most of you are too, trying to balance this class with everything else you have going on. But I promise after this week things will calm down a little bit and you'll see us both a lot more present in the class, and the videos should hopefully be posted more on time. Which, talking about instructor presence, is a great way to start the discussion for this week, which talked about myths and misconceptions for online learning. This is a really fun week for me. I actually put together this lesson for this course starting in the spring. This is still fairly new, and this was a fun lesson to put together, I thought, because we hear these all the time as instructors and as instructional designers, and I feel like a lot of my job as an instructional designer is really kind of debunking these myths and misconceptions, and you find yourself doing that, I think, with your students too. So one of them that stuck out is, like I said, with instructor presence. A lot of you talked about, referring to the Brenhaupt article, about building rapport with your students and really establishing that instructor presence. And one great way to do that is through the use of video. Normally, if we weren't in the process of moving, I would have like a cool background, or I'd include my cat or something like that, but really it's a white background. There's Chicago Bears curtain behind me. I'm actually not a Bears fan, but we're kind of in an empty room right now. Normally I'd be in front of like a Chicago Cubs poster or something, or Minnesota Vikings, which I would be a fan of, or maybe my Harry Potter themed bedroom that I had before. I'll have all those in the new house, so you may see those here in a few weeks. But I record videos usually in more casual locations instead of in my office, because I think that makes me just a little bit more authentic and more of a person. And I think that helps a lot to establish that rapport with students. I'll tell a story about my cat maybe in a future video here, maybe in the week about engagement. Also, the other thing that I saw was a lot of you mentioned about online courses, the myth about online courses being easier to teach. And there's a student perception that online courses are easier to take as a student. But one of the ones I found interesting was a lot of you mentioned over and over again about the time commitment it takes to be an online instructor, and the perception that, oh, online courses are just easier to teach. Besides that kind of that feeling that you have to be communicating with students 24/7 and that your job's never really done, that can be a challenge, but you can work around that and set your own guidelines. I think the biggest thing is just the maintenance and the upkeep. Every semester I'll find dead links in the course, or I'll have a link to a YouTube video that somebody took down, something like that. And I'm constantly having to replace those. I worked with an instructor recently who developed a course where she had a lot of different tutorials for different technologies that are rapidly changing. And you can imagine she spent hours upon hours creating these videos for her course, only to know that she's probably going to have to recreate them every year as the technology changes more and more. And so in that case, she said it's actually much easier to teach a face-to-face course because I can do all this in person. I don't have to record myself and spend all these hours recreating these videos every semester because I'm doing them live in the classroom. And so that's another, I think, big thinking point, is that online courses do require a lot of preparation. And like I said, the continuous improvement and maintenance of them does require a big time commitment. But I think it's completely worth the time commitment that it does take to do that. Because the online courses, they're not going to just run themselves. Some may, if you're looking at more of like a self-paced model. But having that instructor there and that instructor presence really does add a lot of, and encourage and increase student engagement and really help with student success. So those are just my insights for the week. Again, next week now we move on to deadlines and creating your syllabus and time management, etc. Like I said, you probably will see Alan mostly this week. So I wish you all best of luck with this week. Keep up the great discussion. This is the smallest group we've ever had. So we're going to get a much more intimate discussion than we've had in the past. And I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks.